Moving on, Isaac Tiemann says, how would things change if the fawning Washington press covered Hollywood and the aggressive Hollywood press covered Washington? Well, we'd be out of the woods, right? We'd have worse movies and better politics. There is still a pretty decent press corps in terms of Variety and Hollywood Reporter that dig into these things. And I have to tell you, while I despise the tone of it, I really can't stand it. I can't stand to watch it. I can't stand the tone of it. I can't stand the website, and I can't stand the people that comment on the website and the people that live on this particular website. But TMZ, 30 Mile Zone, is it's doing good work. I think the only reason, I don't have a whole lot to say about this particular issue, Isaac, but I'll tell you this. People who haven't spent any time out here cannot imagine how vile this business is. It seems like it's a constant joke, and it seems like everybody makes fun of it, but it doesn't mean it's not true. It's vile in two different ways. It's vile because all businesses, Jeremy pointed this out, he had a lot more experience with this than I do. He basically said that every transaction in Hollywood is sealed with the flesh. That the whole sexual aspect, the whole selling of yourself and all of it is just the handshake that closes the deal. It's astonishing. Name people, who name actors and actresses, usually actresses, who are in relationships fairly well publicized, will basically do just about anything. It's not just that they'll do anything for the part, because they don't really need the part that badly. It's just kind of accepted as the way that the deal is closed. And that's why Hollywood is so preposterously liberal, and why they assume that everybody else is liberal, and why they'll ask you at a table read, we're going to do a table read now, and then after that we're going to start passing around a hat for the Obama campaign. The idea that somebody might be at a table read in Hollywood reading for a movie and not be a giant progressive, it's unimaginable to them. And it's unimaginable to them because so much of what Hollywood does on a daily basis is about, you know what it is? That old saw that you would see with the Indian and the white man would become blood brothers, and they'd get out the big Bowie knife and they'd cut a slice in one guy's hand, the other guy cut a slice in his other hand, and then they'd hold hands, handshake, and their blood is intermingling. That's the idea. I've got your blood in me. I've got my blood is now in you. That's the idea of the kind of blood brothers kind of thing. We've shared blood. Now I have your blood flowing through my veins, and some of my blood's flowing through your veins. And so many of the transactions out here are that. That's what they are. We're going to seal it in the flesh because that way we're all complicit in it together. You really have to understand how this thing works out here. The source of the problem is, and I run into this in my actual job with you guys. It's hard sometimes. The source of the problem is that we are used to buying and selling in this country. Everybody buys and sells something. Even Barack Obama's, community organizer. He's buying prestige and power, and he's selling access to money. That's what he did when he was a community organizer. So everybody's buying and selling something, and in your life you're helping buy or sell something, and that's noble. It's perfectly noble. Trade is what makes all this stuff go around. Trade is what brings us wealth and happiness. I don't have to make everything. Other people will make stuff that I want, and I'll trade them for stuff that I make that I'm good at. Everybody wins. So there's no shame in selling, but the problem with Hollywood and show business is you're the product. What you're selling is you. I'm not selling shoes. I'm not selling transmissions. I'm not selling cars. I'm not selling houses. I'm selling me. And that makes for a number of different problems. For people like me, it makes me unwilling to sell myself. It makes me reluctant to sell me. I'm very, very, very ticklish about selling myself because I don't find it demeaning. I just find it a little rude. I find it, imposing. It's imposing on me. I don't want to go up to people and say, hey, do you like me? Send me money so I can do more of what I'm doing. It just doesn't feel right to me. That's a sign of, just how you're raised. So it is. Ohio Castle said, as Costy's brother said, Ohio Costy says it's like a gang initiation. That's exactly what it is. It's like a gang initiation. You're in now, and now you're in, you can't get out. I try to get out, they keep pulling me back in. That's the way it goes. So in order to successfully sell yourself, the kind of people who succeed in selling themselves are the kind of people who either have or develop or fake a very narcissistic, very aggressive, very arrogant, very, very, very gross, disgusting kind of self promotion, where it's like, you know, this is the root of when a movie star who's making $50 million a year or on a picture has an assistant who might be making, you know, $17,000 a year just for the honor of being with that person. That assistant brings them soy milk instead of almond milk, and then that celebrity throws that thing against the wall, and it explodes, and it says, "You're never going to work in this town again, so help me God, I'll make sure you know." Where's all this rage coming from? Where's all this? Why are you demeaning this person? Why are you so full of ego that something so small is you know, literally like, you know, it's like a nuclear missile launch? What's wrong with you? Why are you so diseased? Well, they are diseased. They're ego diseased. And they're narcissists, and they're filled with themselves. And one of the reasons that they're filled with themselves, on some level, is because the system forces them to. You have to be, on some level, I think, you have to be, all right, it's not self-confidence. It's much worse than that. It's an aggressive, in-your-face kind of, I'm the best GD actor on the planet, and and everybody else understands that. So you have to be constantly told how great you are, and you have to have all of your immediate whims immediately fulfilled, and everything has to rotate around you. You have to be the center of the universe. Don't worry about that, sweetheart. We got it covered. Oh, they love you out there. They love you. Are you kidding? Oh my God, did you not see the people? Hey, how was it? Was it any good? Oh, they ate you up. Oh my God, really? I thought I was off. No, baby, no. I saw this. I'll tell you this story. I was working as a limo driver in around 1990, 91, 92. It was in the end of my limo driving days, about 92, I guess. We were based in San Marino, which is not far from Pasadena. I got a ride assignment at the Pasadena Playhouse, which is a pretty famous little theater. And normally, these people had a regular limo company, but that company couldn't do it. We mostly drove businessmen to and from the airport. That's pretty much what we did. We were not a Hollywood, Beverly Hills limo company that drove a lot of stars. But one of those companies had a problem, and they subcontracted it out to us. So I arrive at Pasadena Playhouse, and I pick up these two actors, and you probably know both of them. One of them is Meredith Baxter Birney, who was, I forget the name of that damn show with Michael J. Fox. She played the mom on that Michael J. Fox show. And the other was an actor who I like a lot named Dan Hedaya. Dan Hedaya is an actor, a character actor, who has been in Buckaroo Banzai and been in a lot of different things. You'd know him if you saw him. So Dan Hedaya and Meredith Baxter Birney get in the back of this Lincoln Town Car. Not a word to me. I'm literally, the depth of this personal conversation they had is another form of contempt on their part, because they were talking about very deep personal issues. They were a couple at the time, and I might as well not been there. There was no divider or anything. It's a Lincoln Town Car. I was just a prop, like an ashtray, as far as they were concerned. But she got into the car, and he closed the door. She closed her door. And I'm not exaggerating now. From Pasadena to her home in Beverly Hills was at least 50 minutes at nighttime. And for 50 minutes, it was 50 minutes nonstop. I was terrible. No, baby, you were great. No, I was awful. No, honey, you were great. Everybody loved you. I look like hell. I look like a corpse. No, honey, you look fantastic. Look at all these wrinkles on my face. What wrinkles? I don't see any wrinkles. No, I was just miserable. Everybody hated me. Baby, you were great. Didn't you hear the applause at the end of Act 1? Oh, well, that was just a reflex. It was, if you'd had 5 minutes of this, you would have wanted to throw her out of the car. But 50 minutes of it, 50 minutes. So this is a famous person, especially at the time in 1990. It's a famous, good-looking person who'd been on David Loves, Bridget Loves, Bridget Loves Bernie. She was well known. Just the insecurity, just the sucking black hole of need, and poor Dan Hedaya is just shoveling coal into this thing as fast as he can, and there's no way you can ever, family ties, thanks, Wild Goose, you can never, ever fill this hole, ever. This person is just a black hole of need and insecurity, and his job was to constantly feed this furnace that'll never be fed, ever. What a miserable experience. And I've known people like that. And so you throw in that kind of narcissism and that kind of resentment and that kind of desire, because that's the thing about the movie business. Everybody wants, people who want to be in it will do anything. They'll do anything. The only other time I've seen something like that is in aviation, where I've seen pilots would do just about anything. I know when I was taking helicopter lessons before I got my glider rating, I had a couple of helicopter lessons. Thought, oh man, maybe I can, I'm a limo driver, maybe I can be a helicopter pilot. The guy explained to me that professional helicopter pilots flying Jet Rangers, doing document drops and stuff like this, were making $18,000 a year. What? Yeah. Why? Because everybody wants to be one. And the market is such a buyer's market that people were working for nothing. They would literally pay you. They would pay you to fly helicopters so they could build up the hours, they get a better job. And it's like that sometimes in aviation. Sometimes there's a glut of pilots, and when that happens, it gets ugly out there in terms of suppressing salaries. But like actors, pilots have to fly. They have to. It's not like this is my job or I work here or maybe I could work there. This is what I have to do it. I have to fly. It's a primal need, and I'll do anything. And I got both of those bugs, right? I got to make movies and I got to fly. And they're not inexpensive hobbies or occupations, either one of them. So when you have that kind of desire, people do anything. And when I mean anything, I mean they'll do anything. Not saying everybody will do anything, but I'm saying a lot of people would do things that you would be amazed at. And I'll tell you one other little story with no names attached. I had a friend who was working on a movie as a kind of an assistant and got to be pretty close with this actress. Because the actress was depending on her, and they were kind of doing the whole sister thing. And, it's got one famous person and one civilian, basically. And they were on location, and this famous actress had a well-publicized relationship with another famous actor, and they were madly in love. And out on location, she started to have an affair with either one of the actors or the director or something, and a fairly public affair. And the assistant, thinking they were friends because she'd been told they were friends forever, said, listen, I'm just saying this as your friend. Is this something you really want to do? You really seem to be really in love with what's his name, and he's really crazy about you, and it seems so good for you. And by the way, there are people out there with cameras, This could go south. And this celebrity just turned into this snarling mask and said, don't you ever, ever, ever tell me how to run my professional life. Right? It's business, baby. It's business. Business. Yep. So there's that whole aspect of it. Now, coupled to that aspect of the narcissism and the ego and everything, and the fact that you're the product, added to this, you have something else. You have got the most corrupt, illegal accounting and financing in the history of the world. I mean, people who are trading camels in a bazaar in Casablanca would blush if they heard some of the deals that were being made in Hollywood. And certainly any accounting practice on any other business in the country, you'd be in jail for the kind of things that happen with movies all the time. I talked about that before. I'm not going to bore you with it again, but Ed Norton was on the first episode of Sunday Morning Shootout, and I will bore you with it again. He was sitting there with the person who was the director of the studio that did Fight Club. I forget his name now. Roth, I think. And Peter Guber asked a question saying, hey, how are the DVDs doing on Fight Club? And the studio exec goes, man, they're great. They're selling like hotcakes. And Ed Norton turns to him and says, oh, really? And instantly the backpedaling starts. Well, when like hotcakes, we're still significantly in the red. We got a lot of, the market's really soft, but they're doing better than we thought. We hope, someday we might be able to get out of this hole. And Guber just immediately starts laughing and says, looks like somebody owes somebody a paycheck. And they did. But the point I'm trying to make is, here's Ed Norton, an A-list actor in Fight Club, an A-list movie that made a fortune. It was a big worldwide hit. And he was promised a back end of the DVD sales, and right there in front of our eyes, we realized that he wasn't getting a penny from DVD sales because he had been told that there was no profit from DVD sales. And the way the accounting is done with cross-collateralization, all the rest of it, there was no profit. Here's your balance sheet, Ed. Yeah, can I start seeing my DVD royalties from Fight Club? No, we don't have any sales. We're still deep in the red, buddy. We're still trying to get our investors out. We're still $60 million in the hole. Until the guy, in a moment of false security, talking with his friend Peter Guber, answers a question honestly. Yeah, they're doing great. By great, when I say great, I mean terrible. It's a small example of what goes on all the time. And one of the reasons movies cost so much is everybody has to get paid up front because there is no back end because everybody's a liar. So it's not fun. And back to the question, Isaac, about the press corps, the press kind of glories in this, the Hollywood press. TMZ, which I mentioned a minute or 10 or 20 or 30 minutes ago, shines a light on this kind of behavior. They do it in a paparazzi kind of way. I don't particularly like it, and I certainly don't like the TV show, but they're calling these people out. And papers like The Hollywood Reporter and especially Variety do look at things like this movie was supposed to cost $60 million. It cost $120 million. It's on the books for $60. Everybody knows it's not $60. What happened to the other $60 million? So anyway, back with part 2. So let's move on to our next question.